They've been called land yachts, portable palaces, corrugated condos, even silver Twinkies. Some look downright freaky, like eggs on wheels or flying saucers. Whatever they look like, they're nothing if not all American.
It's a kind of icon of America.
Well, this is one spiffy camper.
Their owners follow a simple creed. Home is where you park it.
Our coaches start at around 800 to 900,000 and go up to 1.5, 1.8 million.
Today, a growing number of collectors and fanatics keep the humble roots of this tradition alive. Heavy industry keeps making these babies bigger and better, all in the name of real estate.
There's nothing like Friday afternoon, loading up the trailer and heading out just for a weekend trip to the mountains or the lake or whatever, compacting everything down to, you know, one little small trailer. Can we take and like just clamp that on with a pair of vice grips or something and grind it where it's, you know, if you're not looking at it? Thicker, better, cleaner. That looks great. Okay, let's move on to the other side.
Craig Dorsey and the guys are answering the call of a growing legion as they restore vintage travel trailers, time capsules for adventurers who want to relive the heyday of America's life on the road.
Pull it on out, pull it on out. What a mess. We come into trailers in all different degrees of deterioration. Sometimes we find trailers that have been stored in barns for 50 years and they're just pristine condition. They just need a little sprucing up. Other times we find trailers that have been used as chicken coops. You know, they're a beautiful trailer, but they need a lot of work and we have to take them all the way down to the bare bones and completely restore them from the ground up.
The results can take you places far beyond your typical backwoods campsite.
It's like a time machine, you know, that's what I think. You can go back in time, you just walk in and you've gone back in time.
What are we? We're not trailer trash, we're...
Historians, preservationists.
Yeah, there you go.
What metal mavericks, like Craig Dorsey, are preserving actually started in 1908. That was the year Americans first began taking their new Model T Fords out of the city and into the wilderness. But traveling at 15 miles per hour, getting home the same day was never going to happen. From this began the familiar tradition of car camping. Among the most avid car campers of the day was this wild bunch: Harvey Firestone, Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford.
Ford chopping wood for the fire. Everyone's made equal. Everyone is sort of pitching in a way that we wouldn't expect of these great champions of the industrial age.
Included in their entourage were state-of-the-art recreational vehicles, the first RVs.
Now, their idea of camping was to bring your servants along. They actually had a Model T that had set up, it just carried china and silverware. That's all it carried. They also had another Model T that had a generator and a refrigerator on it, and the generator would run the whole time so they could have fresh ice cubes for their iced tea and lemonade when they were camping.
But not every average Joe could afford such luxuries. Most travelers in the early 1900s made do with home-built add-ons to make their Model T Fords camp-ready. Historian David Woodworth's antique RV collection demonstrates how simple and innovative the first RVs really were.
Well, in 1916, everybody was making adaptations for Model Ts, and this is a telescope apartment. This was made in San Francisco, California. Slide out. This one has a triple slide out. You unlock the latch. This is our kitchen area. You open up the workbench, and you have all your canned goods and your kitchen equipment, and a nice work area to work on. And then we slide out our clothes closet, which has a series of drawers in here where you can carry all your blankets for bedding and all of your camping equipment that you need.
Made entirely of wood and tin, the 1916 telescope apartment was so named because its sleeping area actually formed when the sides were telescoped out. The entire process took about a minute. Real comfy.
This was state-of-the-art camping, 1916.
At a time when most people lived and died within 50 miles of their birthplace, the auto camper offered the equivalent of riding off into the Wild West. It also created a market for vehicles that offered more space and luxury on the road. In 1921, this model was introduced by a most unusual manufacturer, Anheuser-Busch. The brewery hoped to capitalize on the growing popularity of auto camping and stay in business during Prohibition.
This is a 1921 Lampstead camp car. The beds drop down, and then you slide over this compartment here, slide over the front seat. You have to take out the back of the passenger seat, and you actually have a double bed. Now this double bed will fit on both sides.
The Lampstead sported a first for the industry, a running water spigot mounted on the side of the body.
And then you just snap the tent down on all sides.
The Lampstead shell with its fold-out sleeping berths was made to fit perfectly on a Ford Model T chassis. But a family of 4 or 5 campers visiting America's new national park system was still more likely to sleep in canvas tent trailers for the extra space they afforded. Problem was, the tents were notoriously hard to put up. In the summer of 1928, Arthur Sherman, a scientist and businessman from Detroit, purchased a deluxe waterproof tent trailer and set out with the family for a campsite in Upper Michigan.
Well, when he got up there and set up this trailer, he and Mrs. Sherman encountered rain, and the instructions were wet, Mrs. Sherman was wet, and all the little Shermans.
A newsreel made after the disaster recounts Sherman's frustration.
The man said it would take 10 minutes to set up this tent, but it looks more like 10 hours.
Well, Art, you should know it. These newfangled contraptions never work.
Well, if it doesn't work, I bet I can build one that does.
Exhausted from the ordeal, Arthur Sherman vowed to change the way Americans traveled and lived in real estate. It was heralded as a new way of life in the 1930s and 40s, one that would change our morals, our architecture, and our industrial system. Was it the space age? Nope. It was trailer travel, and its evolution was only just beginning.
The first travel trailers, or camping trailers, if you will, were not much different than a covered wagon, except maybe they had 2 wheels. You know, little tent trailers that you could take out, and you have some basic pots and pans and some canned goods, and that was about it.
The evolution of the travel trailer got its jumpstart from Michigan inventor Arthur Sherman in 1928. After struggling to set up a tent trailer, he became a man with a mission: build one that actually worked.
He went back to Detroit and he built a trailer 9 feet long, 6 feet wide, and bent metal over it, stretched canvas over it, but you didn't need to set it up in the rain, and called it the covered wagon. This is a 1929 covered wagon, the first year of production for what became the largest camping company in the country.
At 9 feet long and 6 feet wide, there was still no room to stand up, so Sherman designed his covered wagon with a drop-down floor. Once in place, the floor attached to the trailer with canvas panels.
This isn't the roomiest trailer that was ever made. You can only walk back and forth about 3 feet. The most innovative feature about this trailer was you really don't need to set it up. It travels all set up, so when you reach your campsite, whether it's raining or not, you're ready to go.
In 1930, Sherman built a wooden version of his covered wagon. When some total strangers offered to buy it, he hired a carpenter, built more, and sold them at a profit. For $395, anyone could cruise down the road in a plywood box with a plush interior. The idea caught on, and in 1936, Sherman's Covered Wagon Company produced and sold nearly 10,000 trailers. A year later, there were almost 400 different trailer companies in operation, churning out an astounding 100,000 travel trailers a year. Some trailers were aimed squarely at those with the big bucks. One custom land yacht, the Curtiss Aerocar, was equipped with a telephone that allowed the passenger to bark instructions to the driver.
How about going a little faster up there, about 20 miles faster an hour?
Down here somewhere, you know, the electrical outlet on these old ones is always in a different place.
Yeah.
I think it's right here. See if that one will fit. It's got a pretty small head on it. We put power to the trailer, so hopefully the lights will go on, and it looks like they have.
Even luxury car maker Pierce Arrow entered the marketplace, hoping for a share of the trailer craze.
You know, we're inside this beautiful 1937 Pierce Arrow trailer, and you know, if you look around, you can see how incredible this thing is. You know, here's the stove for this beautiful little trailer. It is very typical of the period. It's a gas stove. Here's the little fuel cell for it, or the fuel canister. Just fits right in there. And like a typical camping stove, you would fill it up, pump it, light it, and use it. The best part about this trailer and other trailers like this of the 30s is the bathroom. It's got this incredible little sink with the same type of pump system handle, and this wonderful early toilet. And when you're ready to flush the toilet, you simply remove the bucket.
With nearly all the comforts of home on wheels, travel trailers attracted Depression-era buyers by the thousands. The trailers offered freedom to travel, as well as freedom from motel bills, rent, and property taxes. 15,000 trailer parks dotted the United States by 1936 and enticed visitors with free hookups to electricity and water. A fast-growing association of trailerites emerged to call themselves the Tin Can Tourists. Their favorite destination was Florida. The exclusive vacation resort of the rich was now open to everyone.
They got their name not because of their trailers being tin cans, but predominantly because of the food they were eating out of cans.
Refrigeration was not very good, and the whole world ate out of tin cans. But as opposed to people who would be eating in fine restaurants with chefs preparing their meals, these people were eating canned goods.
The original tin canners were considered undesirable tourists who added little to the local economy.
At first, people didn't respect the people coming down to Florida, and they said, these guys are coming down here with one $10 bill and one shirt and don't change either one until they come home.
The trailer parks also inspired the business-minded. One pair of Iowa hairdressers opened a mobile salon, the Silver Dome Beauty Shop. They took advantage of the free electricity and water that was available as they traveled their shampoo circuit, delivering beauty to the mobile masses. At the height of the Great Depression, 500,000 Americans live part or full-time in a trailer. So many people own travel trailers that the famed economist Roger Babson predicted more than half of the population in the United States would be living in trailers within 20 years. While the forecast never quite hit the mark, it did fuel the efforts of a few renegade inventors, men who saw the future that lay beyond the simple square house car and began to think outside the box.
This is a 1937 Hunt house car. Has a V8 engine, 85 horsepower, and will travel 55 miles an hour on a good day. It weighs about 5,200 pounds. It's all made of metal, and it's very, very heavy. A little impractical to change the front tire, but it does get your attention.
This self-propelled Hunt house car is one of only two still known to exist. It was the brainchild of J. Roy Hunt, a Hollywood cameraman who built the egg-shaped motorhome so that he would have a comfortable place to stay while shooting on location. Compared to the other RVs on the road at the time, the Hunt looked like it had traveled here from another planet.
I think when people first saw the Hunt house car, most of the reaction is, what is it? And they could not imagine that this is something that you can live in and travel in and have all the conveniences of home. Power step, modern ice box, electric shaver. It cuts your beard by vibrating. Open up the clothes closet and it reveals the complete bathroom with a shower. Shower head, sink for brushing teeth, and a toilet.
Like most of the trailers that came before it, the Hunt was still tethered to water and power at the campsite. And although it was never mass-produced, it embodied the shape of things to come. When we return, the silver bullet, real estate that circled the globe.
This is a 1949 glider, Model 10. It's the only one of these I've ever seen.
For many of today's trailer enthusiasts, the classic models of the 1940s and 50s are a trailer lover's dream. This is the latest restoration from Craig Dorsey's shop.
The exterior of this took about 45 days. And I was with a couple guys. It was just a mess. Been painted with house paint and a broom. It had sand and everything else in the paint.
Now cleaned up and ready to go, the 49 glider will soon be on its way to a vintage trailer rally in Southern California.
Okay, let's see. We got the lantern, the stove, the cooler, thermos, chairs, cord, hose. Yeah, I think that about does it. We got all the food already, and we're ready to head out and go camping. You know, they have electric jacks that do this by themselves now, but there's nothing like cranking it yourself.
Although Dorsey is pulling a one-of-a-kind, many enthusiasts have come to pay homage to these.
Well, it's a 31-foot Airstream Sovereign, and it's a family heirloom.
If this had wings, it would certainly fly.
This is my 1967 Airstream Safari. You get it this shiny by several hundred hours of labor.
Well, this is a 1964 Bambi 2.
From the diminutive Bambi to the 30-footers like the Sovereign and the Classic, these aluminum abodes are the most recognizable brand of wheel estate ever built. Airstream trailers, the silver bullets of the highway, are timeless. Vintage models are all the rage among collectors, and new ones are sold as fast as they can be made.
Airstream represents the ultimate expression of freedom in the American culture. It's the freedom to leave the everyday mundane lifestyle and travel throughout the world.
Mark Peterson is on his 5th Airstream. His 1964 Bambi stores electricity in 12-volt car batteries that run an espresso machine on the road. Long-term camping is as easy as plug and play.
All right, here we just hook up our water and our power, and they connect back over here into the trailer, and water just hooks up right into here, and then the cord we just plug into the 110, and that switches automatically over from the 12 volt.
But if you think Airstreams are only for laughs and leisure, think again. The silver trailers have played a role in some of history's most memorable events. A government model stood by as a field office for President John F. Kennedy while he attended Army weapons tests at the White Sands Missile Range in 1962. Then, in 1969, an Airstream housed astronauts Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin in quarantine after their Apollo 11 space capsule returned from the first manned lunar landing. But the legend began taking shape more than 30 years before. A legend inspired by airplanes. It was the brainchild of aircraft designer William Hawley Bolus, a key figure behind Charles Lindbergh's Spirit of St. Louis. While conducting flight tests in the California desert, Bolus required a mobile shelter, something that would protect him from the elements. That inspired his first production trailer, the Road Chief.
It was using aircraft design, technology, and materials. They were wrapped with beryllium, which was an aircraft aluminum, riveted together with aircraft rivets, and wrapped over an aluminum tubular frame. Nobody else was doing this.
The result was a strong, rigid trailer that was also lightweight and easy to tow. Bolus made 4 models, including a tiny aluminum cocoon that slept too, called the Papoose. But critics found that the front doors were awkwardly placed, right over the tow bar. The entry made the interior seem like a hallway. And at a base price of $1,000, twice the price of a V8 Ford during the Great Depression, the Bolus was a dud. When the company went bankrupt in 1935, Wally Byam, one of the salesmen, offered to take over the shop. He renamed it Airstream, and his first effort looked like this.
This is a 1936 Airstream Clipper, one of the rarest trailers out there and the most sought after. It's, there's only a few of these that exist, maybe a half dozen or so. And this is the trailer that Wally Byam designed from the mold of the Bolus Road Chief when he took over all the parts and the tooling and came up with this trailer in '36.
At this rally, 2 of the most influential pieces of wheel estate ever produced were brought together for our cameras.
We usually just get to compare them in photographs, but this is a really rare and unique opportunity. Here we have a Bolus Road Chief, the inspiration and predecessor to the first production line Airstream Clipper, 1936. The design is absolutely similar, except for Airstream and Wally Byam moved the door to the side, which really changed the flow of how you use it.
Back at the back has a nice little settee area, folds down and makes a bed. It has a mid-kitchen and a little dinette up at the front.
The succeeding Airstream production models would include ice boxes, water pumps, chemical toilets, advanced insulation, and propane heaters and stoves. Wally Byam had the goods. Now he just needed to get his message to the masses. To demonstrate the Airstream's lightness, he invited French bicycle racer Le Tourneau to pull a trailer with his bike in 1947. Then, in 1955, Byam embarked with fellow Airstreamers on his most compelling promotion, a series of trailer trips like no other ever attempted, the Wally Byam Caravans. One took Byam and his entourage around the world, through Europe and Asia. Another took them on a 7-month journey through 13,000 miles of forest, jungle, and desert, from Cape Town, South Africa, to Cairo, Egypt.
The trips were almost really a throwback to early pioneering history in America. I mean, they were still pulling themselves out of mud, building bridges to get across places. And then, of course, you have the exotic lifestyle of the natives that Americans had never really seen.
Many folks, especially in Africa, thought they were from outer space.
Nobody had seen people traveling like this. Who could imagine these little silver jelly beans coming around, people living in them? What an exotic lifestyle. He made his mark.
Of course, Byam's showmanship paid off big time. Of the 400 trailer companies around in 1936, Airstream is among the only survivors. At the Airstream factory in Jackson Center, Ohio, the silver bullets are still made the way they used to be.
This is where it all begins. The start to assemble the sidewalls and the roof structure that eventually will make the silver cocoon known as the Airstream travel trailer. Storage compartment. The riveters will take these pieces and assemble it into a finished shell in approximately an hour.
On 34 units, we approximately put in anywhere from 600 to 700 rivets.
This line is where the shells are actually starting to take shape and become rolling trailers. This is the insulation process. We use a fiberglass bed insulation, and that'll allow us to withstand the temperature extremes, both hot and cold. And eventually it'll go in the water check booth where everything is checked for water tightness.
Because each of the hundreds of rivets in an Airstream can cause a potential water leak, the trailers are individually pounded with simulated hurricane force rain to test for water tightness. And when it rolls out, the silver silhouette is still an eye-popping American icon. When we return, travel trailers go to war and on a honeymoon with Desi and Lucy.
The lifestyle of the trailer rides varies. Everybody's different, all walks of life. People in the film industry, lawyers, doctors, blue-collar workers, everybody's attracted to these things. A lot of people never even heard of a vintage trailer, didn't know what they were, and after they saw one, they had to have one, and now they're on their third.
This is a 1948 Westcraft, made in Los Angeles. It's got the original icebox, it's got the stove, it's got an oven, heater, you know, your basic amenities.
What about a bathroom?
No bathroom.
It's a unique looking trailer. You don't see many of these on the road. You probably won't see many of these at all.
Rarities like the 48 Westcraft are a special breed. They were among the first trailers made after World War II, a time that turned travel trailers into an endangered species.
The war had a tremendous effect on the trailer industry. We had rationing of tires, gasoline, and so the idea of using your trailer for vacationing, you simply couldn't find the means to do that. And the industry was very concerned because it was threatened with simply disappearing.
Instead of fading into obscurity, trailers broke through as an important part of the war effort. As America tooled up for war production, the government ordered 35,000 trailers to use as housing for war workers. Defense production centers like Mobile, Alabama, set up trailer parks to accommodate workers and their families who had arrived for jobs in the naval shipyard. In Ypsilanti, Michigan, the population doubled after the War Department opened the Willow Run bomber plant there in 1941. More than half of its 40,000 workers lived in trailers. Most lived in an 18 by 8 foot box called the committee trailer. The two-room abodes were made of pressboard and had no running water. Their wartime residents shared common laundry facilities and bathrooms. A lucky few were housed in an innovative and more comfortable set of rolling rooms called the Stout Folding Home.
When it went down the road, it was about 8 feet wide and 18 to 22 feet long, depending on the model that you had. And when you got it to the side, these sides unfolded. The floor came down, the top popped up, and you tripled the size virtually of that home. It had a kitchen with a sink, it had a toilet, it had a shower. So this was pretty luxurious wartime living.
Ideas like this ultimately made trailer living a practical alternative to owning a traditional house.
This trailer's not a particularly sexy trailer on the outside. It's pretty.
I think it looks like a bread box.
Yeah, it looks like a bread box.
A big bread box.
At the end of the war, there was this huge boom in demand, and part of it was that no one was building housing during the war for obvious reasons. So you had not only a demand for housing, but particularly for mobile housing. Most of the people who were buying house trailers at that time were either military with families, or they were skilled construction workers.
Trailers allowed returning veterans to quickly own homes and start families even while they attended school. Construction workers used trailers as they pursued post-war jobs that might take them anywhere in the country. By 1952, Newsweek magazine joked that the 6th largest city in the United States was on wheels. The return of peace also brought an end to the rationing of gas, tires, and metal. A surplus of aircraft materials encouraged manufacturers to produce longer and longer house trailers. From Sarasota, Florida to Palm Springs, California, the race was on to have the biggest, most elaborate piece of rolling real estate on the open road. The trend inspired MGM Studios to produce the 1954 hit comedy, The Long, Long Trailer, starring Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz as a pair of newlyweds who buy a trailer for their honeymoon.
Lucy and Desi go for a trial spin.
To promote the movie, Lucy and Desi towed their giant 41-foot Redmond New Moon through the streets of New York City and into the record books. It was the longest house trailer ever to visit Times Square.
This is a 1954 Hanson Love Bug.
Of course, not all of the wheel estate of the 1950s was supersized. For quick trips, many Ozzie and Harriet era campers favored a breed of smaller, simpler trailers. Their characteristic shape earned them the nickname canned hams. Collectors are partial to the ones made by Shasta.
The Shasta was pretty much the epitome of the canned ham look. In fact, they look like they left the little winder on the back with their little wings coming off.
Today, trailers from the 40s and 50s are being rebuilt and reborn for a 21st century generation of tin can titans.
This is a 1956 Silver Streak Rocket, a 28-foot trailer, stripped down to the bare bones. We're putting in all the new modern amenities of you'd find in a new travel trailer, but keeping it aesthetically vintage.
You know, we have more drawer and closet space in our trailer than we did in our old apartment.
You know, Joan, I think trailers are wonderful. They certainly think of everything.
As you can see, we've got a lot of wiring going into here. We've got full 110 systems. I think we have about 6 circuits in this trailer. We've got 12-volt systems taking care of all the light and the lighting. We've got speakers run. We've got cabling, telephone, computer wires, stereo wires, Xbox, every kind of component for stereo, audio, video that you can think of. Go ahead and put them through here and here because that's where we need them. So feet over to there, right?
When a modern restoration on a vintage trailer is complete, its period look and feel can be deceiving.
These are 6-volt golf cart type batteries. And I have 4 of them that charge enough electricity to run all the electrical in the trailer for 24 hours. And here are the controls for the inverter, solar panels, tank monitors. You know, these 2 solar panels provide enough power on a sunny day that I can operate all the lights I want all night long, plus watch a DVD if I'd like, listen to the stereo, and make ice. I've got an ice maker.
Impressive? Maybe. Stylish? Sure. But there are some whose demands and wallets dictate a whole other species of wheel estate. When we return, take a ride in a $1 million motorhome. The home on wheels, an idea that was well established as an American institution by the 1960s. A time when the self-contained, self-propelled Winnebago ushered in the era of the mass-produced motorhome.
Making memories as we travel, living dreams each mile across the land. Winnebago.
Of course, things wouldn't stop there. Today, the RV has been reinvented yet again, this time by a company called Marathon. These steel behemoths are 45 feet long and more than 8 feet wide. They weigh in at 25 tons.
This coach is powered by a Detroit Diesel Series 60 engine, 500 horsepower, gets about 7 miles to the gallon, and it'll take you anywhere you want to go.
Welcome to the most luxurious and expensive wheel estate in the modern world, the Marathon Coach.
Our coaches start at around 800,000 to 900,000 and go up to 1.5, 1.8 million.
At the factory in Coburn, Oregon, Marathon's production crew handcrafts up to 70 of these mobile mansions a year. Each vehicle starts out as a commercial bus chassis built in Canada.
This is the inside of the empty shell. This is the way we get it from the manufacturer. You see it basically has a dash and a driver's seat, and the rest is empty. You'll have 2 recliners over here, a couch over here, the galley. You'll also have the bathroom in here with the Corian and granite countertops, and you come back to the bedroom with the queen-size bed.
At the press of a button, a 15-foot section of the living room slides out on a gush of compressed air. The living space expands by nearly 3 feet. And then there are the TVs.
42-inch plasma. And this is an LCD.
There's a data screen on the dash. And for those who still long for the great outdoors,
We're watching TV outside. There's a TV in the underbelly of this coach.
This is a Marathon EX5. Price tag, only $1,065,000. Motorhomes like this are factory equipped with a dizzying array of technology that makes NASA look like romper room, including an in-motion satellite tracking TV receiver and remote-controlled automatic awnings. There are also air velocity anemometers they signal the automatic awnings to retract if the wind speed rises above 35 miles an hour. At the campground, hookups for electricity and wastewater appear as if from nowhere. A 20-kilowatt generator stands by to power air conditioning, motorized window shades, and mood lights. There are also massage units hidden inside the driver and passenger seats. The remote controls for all the features and accessories fill a kitchen drawer, and there's even a remote that replaces the remotes. At present, there are 7 million RVs on the road. They range in price from $3,000 to more than $2 million. And there's no sign of slowing down. Classic models like this one have even become a fashion statement. And in Beverly Hills, the style capital of California, there's even a restaurant made to look like a trailer, the Airstream Diner. Where is real estate going from here? It's getting bigger and better and using modern technology to get there.
From the very beginning, one of the things that Trailerites were trying to do was bring the maximum of comfort packed together with mobility. So any technology that could offer that, collapsing, folding, popping up, these were great things.
It's a path that was firmly established by the likes of Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and countless tin can tourists.
These motorhomes that are built today are really an extension of the hunt house car or the Lampstead camp car or the telescoping apartment. These were all fairly comfortable in their day.
The old trailers are just incredible American icons, like a Harley Davidson, a 57 Cadillac. These wonderful old trailers, give us the same feeling that those do. They're a great part of our American history.
And whether it's the classic trailers and RVs out of the past or the million-dollar models that wrap their occupants in extreme luxury, they are part of something bigger. They are monuments to America's enduring fascination with life on the road. And to life in a house that rolls.